We have a minute to ask a question.
John, as I said earlier, according to state records, more than 800 greyhounds have been injured while racing in our state since 2002. Of these, 80% were broken legs. Now, in a debate on WBZ radio a few weeks ago, you were asked about this issue, and you said that broken legs were, and this is a direct quote, no big deal. Now, would you like to clarify that statement today, or are you prepared to denounce that? Because I find that statement, quite frankly, shocking.
2 minutes to respond.
If you knew anything about, you could sit there and read an injury report. For the last 30 years, I've been dealing with injuries. I've been dealing with broken legs, broken toes, blown ankles, and you know nothing about that, okay? That's what I do, okay? So in the early days of dog racing, it was totally different. Now, if a dog hurts himself, within 30 seconds or a minute, that dog is dealt with immediate veterinary care. We have a veterinarian on call at the track during all the races. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. If a greyhound is unfortunately injured, as far as a broken leg, I look at it this way, okay? There's all different stages of a broken leg. Stress fractures, combination fractures, slab fractures, okay? When I say it's no big deal, the dog is not going to be put down. It is not going to be euthanized. It's going to have immediate treatment, and it's as simple as this. When I say it's no big deal, I'm thinking like, oh geez, this isn't the end of the world. He's going to heal up. A broken bone usually takes about 4 weeks to set, and then you're talking about a 5 to 6 week time to where they're in a splint, and then it's a process of them coming out of that and learning how to walk again. And I don't look at it as a big deal. This is my business. I started my meet at Wonderland this year with 15 dogs that had broke their legs at other tracks, and from Florida, Lincoln, Raynham, and they ran and there was, I don't look at it as a big deal. It is a downtime. If he doesn't come back running, he's going to be a very fast couch potato. That's what I meant by that. Don't just thought it's like, it is my investment, but it's also my butt. These are my pets. I got 90 of them in my kennel. My concern is to keep them healthy and whatever. When you talk about it, I'm looking at it different. I'm dealing with them 12 to 16 hours a day, every day. It is not the way you portray it.
Well, thank you, John. I think that answer was perhaps the most interesting and informative answer so far of the night. Now, with all due respect to Kiowa Wishdot, who died on March 21st, 2008, after she suffered a complete fracture to her right front leg and her left front artery was slashed during a race at Raynham Park, it was a big deal. To Kiowa Mighty Mouse, who died on January 9th of 2008, after being euthanized at her trainer's request at Raynham Park, it was a big deal. And I think this goes to the fundamental difference between these campaigns. On one hand, you have humane organizations like the MSPCA, like the Dakin Shelter, who serve to help dogs, who take in dogs that need homes and help them. On the other hand, you have an industry, and John, I do not doubt that you are a person who cares about your family and has done a lot of good in your life, but you are an individual, with all due respect, who views these animals as a gambling machine. And I think that the idea that you would consider a broken leg no big deal really underlines the fundamental difference in this campaign. And I'm willing to bet that most Massachusetts voters believe that a greyhound suffering a broken leg is a big deal. And I think that's why on Election Day, you're going to see most Massachusetts voters vote yes on question 3.
Yeah, it's your turn, John.
I've heard over and over again by the proponents of this ballot question asking the voters, would you treat your dog this way? So what I'd like the voters to do is think and use common sense that if your livelihood and your income depended solely on how your pet was able to do one certain thing, how would you take care of it? Because that's my life. He talks about there's an indifference. He talks about greyhounds. He don't handle greyhounds. He talks about the suffering and whatever. He's not there. I'm the one that if one of my dogs get injured, I'm the one carrying him off the track. I'm the one talking to the vet. I'm the one dealing with him day in and day out. Not him. He talks about it. I'm the one living it. And if you don't think you get attached to it...
John, you gotta be asking a question.
Okay. Bottom line is, would you explain to the public how your portrayal of how we treat our racing greyhounds defies all business sense, more importantly, it defies all common sense, and would make us guilty of breaking all the rules and regulations we now run under?
Thanks, John. And it's a good question. I think everyone knows that these dogs are short-term investments. And the people in this industry seek to secure the highest possible return from a dog while incurring the least amount of cost. This is an industry that is looking to maximize profits. And that's why some trainers try to bring dogs back after suffering a broken leg and get them to race again. Because if they can make another nickel off that dog, they're going to try and do that. Now, I believe that most Massachusetts voters believe it is not appropriate to have an industry that generates gambling money off the use of dogs. I believe the voters in Massachusetts will believe it's inappropriate to have an industry that causes dogs to endure lives of terrible confinement and suffer terrible injuries. So, this really, I said in my opening statement, I'll say again, this is a very simple issue. It's about, as the Springfield Republican said, it's essentially about right or wrong.
2 minutes to follow up.
In all the years that you've been around these greyhounds, there's one thing that, you just don't get with the greyhounds. And a lot of people don't understand. We don't make the greyhounds run. They don't have jockeys on them. People walk them to the starting box, they load them in the starting box, and they run. In order to get to that point, they have to qualify. In order to qualify, you cannot run unless you qualify with a certain time or beat half the field. So it's not like, that we can just enter them in and they have to run. They have to be good enough to do that. No one makes them run. It's something they love to do. It's something we love to do with them. And it's like when he talks about injuries and the difference and, we don't think, they love to do what they do best.